Hey there, welcome to day 994 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey as I transition from over a quarter century in corporate America, that's over 25 years, plus like 40, I don't even want to say how many, it's so many years, 40 plus, 45 plus years in different businesses, like 27 different industries I've been in, industries and businesses that I've owned and operated, been a major player in over the last four plus, decades, lots of decades. And I found that I had the opportunity about 3 years ago now to explore what I wanted to do. As part of my divorce, we had to get out of all the businesses that we had together. And I was like old, but not old enough to retire. I wasn't done yet. I still have some energy and I think some things to share. So I decided I would explore the online world. I'd always been curious about it. And this is just me journaling via video and sharing what I've been doing, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And I've done a lot. I've done a lot of things over the last 3 years, done a lot of wheel spinning and being in the frying pan. And today's idiom for supersize your business was out of the frying pan and into the fire. And sometimes starting our own business, going online, doing anything on our own, finding a new job, graduating from college, getting married, being in a relationship, all of these things often feel like out of the frying pan into the fire, moving from our parents and our family that we grew up with relationship into a relationship and creating a family of our own. Sometimes maybe we grew up in a bad situation. Maybe we pick a significant other that's actually worse for us. That's an example of out of the fry pan into the fire. But hopefully we don't stay there and we move on to the next thing and we find the thing that's right for us. That's the hope and that's the vision of what I see in the idiom out of the fry pan into the fire. Yep, sometimes things get worse before they get better, but at least we're moving from place to place to place. We're taking action. Sometimes you have to jump into the fire because many great things are forged in fire. We need to jump into the fire and get stronger so that we can pop out. And think of popcorn, you need the heat of the frying pan or the fire to actually explode and let the inside of the popcorn kernel out. So out of the fry pan into the fire. Except if you're roasting marshmallows for s'mores and your marshmallow falls into the fire. That is not good, right? But what do? You don't just give up that you're going to have a s'more. You just grab another marshmallow, stick it on the poker or stick it on the stick, and then go ahead and brown your marshmallow. And this time you don't start it on fire or drop it in the fire. Some people actually like burning marshmallows. That's how they like to roast their marshmallows. Go figure. Everybody's different, and that's what makes life fun and interesting. So out of the fry pan into the fire, actually an idiom that's been around since the 15th century. So hundreds of years we've been experiencing going from a situation that seems bad to a situation that's worse. The trick is, just like anything else, you just don't stay there. You don't stay in the worst situation. You don't stay in the fire. And so that was actually a really fun one for Supersize Your Business today. Get Up and Go Challenge was all about the O in our SOAP framework, working on the SOAP framework. And I gave an example of a financial situation, how you can apply this to your financial situation in your life. So that's what I was personally sharing. That's what I'm doing this time. And then we're going through the SOAP framework I did physical. I went through it for the first time. I shared the SOAP framework and went through it, giving a physical example. And this is really bad, but I don't even remember what my physical example was. Now I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes. But I went through something physical that I wanted to change in my life. Now this time I'm going through something financial that I want to change in my life. I want to go from where I am right now and in the current, what my current situation is, to what I want my desired situation to be. And not my ultimate desired situation, but just what is an interim step, the next interim step I want to do in my financial well-being, my finances, what I'm doing with that. And then I gave a couple examples of other things. So the key point here is to know what you are thinking of possible options for, possible alternatives. What else is possible is the question that we ask ourselves. List 10 things of what else is possible. We can't do that until you know what you're working toward. So I was just talking about being specific about that, knowing and a way for you to be able to measure it. It doesn't matter if anyone else can, but if you create your own way of measuring the result that you're and moving toward the result that you want, that's what's important. So we talked about that. Fun challenge today was about seeing things differently, which is always important. It's having a different perspective, putting a different spin on things, looking at things from a different point of view. And so that was fun too. Yesterday we did it with pen caps. Today they just had some art, some pointed like partial peaks, and you're supposed to turn it into a house. We can turn it into anything you want, or you can just doodle a house today and share that with us in the comments below, which is fun, right? It's fun to doodle. It's fun to create something out of something else. It's fun to see things differently than other people see them. I know a lot of people aren't appreciating that with all the political banter and nonsense that's going on in the world right now, not the world, in America right now. But I've noticed that some of the most vehement people that are commenting on it are actually not from the United States. If you see somebody being really nasty, one of the things I like to do and that I think is fun is I click on them and I go look at their profile, if it's on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and I see who they are. And I would say I've done that, maybe I don't do that a lot, but every once in a while I'll do it because somebody's being particularly nasty and I'm like, who the heck are you? And about 75% of the time that I've done that, it's been somebody from another country. And I'm like, why are you even in here stirring up trouble? Pot stirrers, I call them. Fry pans. Let's throw them into the fire. And that's what I do. I just silence all that nonsense. Once in a while, I make a comment here and there because I feel that I have to. I look at the current situation and the way people are treating one another, and I think, oh my God, what has this come to? We need to remember that we have to treat people the way we want to be treated. You don't have to, but then guess what? You're showing the world who you are. If you're online snipping and sniping and calling people names and bullying and shutting people down, you are showing the world who you are. I think the media has totally lost it. And hopefully there's enough of us that are seeing it and saying, boom, and shutting it off. I shut the media off literally in the 1980s, mid to late 1980s, and stopped watching any of the media. Now, this is someone who was going to go to college for journalism. I picked my college because it had a great journalism program. And I thank God every day, or whoever you worship or whatever you believe, that I changed my mind and I went a different direction with my life and my education, because I think that journalism has become the biggest joke on the planet, if not in America, in the entire world. The internet and the stuff that, and the censorship that Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and the other platforms are getting away with, Google, is absolutely positively, it's criminal and it's treasonous. And for them to be allowed to manipulate and censor our free speech in America is mind-boggling to me. For them to be able to manipulate and play games with our lives, because it's not just the politicians' lives they're playing games with, it's actually our lives and our livelihoods. I think it's ridiculous, and that they need to be held accountable. Each and every one of us needs to be accountable for our actions and the things that we do and say, and how we behave and how we show up in the world. What makes media companies and rich people like billionaires and politicians think that they don't need to be held accountable? Well, it's because they haven't been held accountable for years and years and years, and they've gotten into the habit of thinking that they're entitled and above the law, and that they don't have to answer to for their behaviors and for their actions. And I say, end to that crap. I think that's why people don't like President Trump, is because he is not from that insider BS manipulated world, and it is threatening them on both sides of the fence, right? Republicans and Democrats alike. Democrats more so than ever, but that's because they've been pulling stuff for probably almost a century. I guess I have to get my dates right, but probably, so everybody needs to be accountable. Everybody needs to be responsible and take personal responsibility for our actions. Every ordinary citizens have to. Well, guess what? So do our leaders. Our leaders are supposed to be setting the example and leading by example for us, not seeing what they can get away with. It's just the epitome of abuse, and it's abuse of the American citizens, because they're not spending their own money. All I have to do is look at politicians and how they've earned their money. I mean, and this has been going on, and it's just been mind-boggling to me for a long time. People like Paul Wellstone from Minnesota, people like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, these people have been career politicians, and they have 6 homes and 3 homes, and we're talking mansions, private security, money up the wazoo. Where's that coming from? It's coming from the American people. It's coming from them voting themselves packages and exclusions and exceptions and putting themselves above the people that they supposedly represent. I almost threw up the other day when I saw a video of Nancy Pelosi talking over someone who has the same ideology as she does and telling them they're wrong and that she represents the people. Talk about an individual who is out of touch and has no clue about representing the people. Just one example. There's a whole lot of that going on. All right, I'm on a diatribe. I'm on a side note that I really don't, I guess I obviously feel strongly about it because I talked about it, but normally I just stay out of it because it doesn't impact who I am in my realm. At least I try not to let it. Every once in a while, I'll make a comment and snipe, and then I kick myself and hit myself and say, just scroll by, just block, just mute it for the rest of the election. Fun challenge, get up and go challenge, supersize your business. That's it. Working on a couple other projects that I will share as they unfold and as they become available. But otherwise, that's it. Have an absolutely amazing day. Any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow with another update on what I'm working on as I transition from the brick and mortar world to the online world of business. Take care.